everybody, Alexa Zepp here with the Daily Racing Form to go over a pick 3 for this Saturday, June 22nd at Canterbury. And I'm very excited because I really love Canterbury Park. I had the pleasure of going there in 2022 to compete in one of their tournaments. And I was just floored by how underrated of a track it is. The facility is amazing, the people were amazing, the racing was amazing. Probably didn't hurt that I ended up cashing for around $6,000 and winning my BCBC entry for the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge that year. But all around, Canterbury's awesome. If you ever get the chance to go check out that track, I highly recommend it. But this Saturday is their Derby day, so I am going to do a pick 3 with y'all that ends with their Derby. So it starts with race 5. It's a handicap going 5 furlongs on the turf. I like 4 horses in here. It's a pretty competitive race. I like the number 1, Arrest Me Red. This is a morning line favorite at 5-2 for Wesley Ward. You have to go back a few years to see his 100+ buyer figures, but they're there, and he's a grade 3 and a grade 2 winner. This 6-year-old gelding is a near millionaire, and while his last start in the grade 2 Twin Spires Turf Sprint on Derby Day this year may indicate that he's past his prime and no longer going to be competitive in graded stakes company, he definitely fits right in here. I also like the number 2, Jack's Outlaw. He spent the majority of his career on the West Coast in Arizona and California. He was claimed 4 back and seems to be doing a lot better with this fresh trainer. He's coming off 2 straight wins, 1 at Canterbury at this distance. And in that race, he ran almost back to his lifetime best. The number 6, the Alligator Hunter's last 2 outs have been at Canterbury over the dirt, where he won 1 and got 3rd by less than a length in the other. That was a stakes, and he got an 85 buyer. He's versatile with surface, which is important this weekend considering the forecast. We think there's going to be probably quite a bit of rain. So he's won over a muddy surface in the past, and this is a homebred, home-owned, home-trained horse. So I know they're always very thoughtful of the race placement for him. He should be a part of the fast pace, and Time Form has him sticking around for a close second to the number 10, Bad Beat Brian, who is my last pick in here. Like Arrest Me Red, Bad Beat Brian has had quite the career facing pretty tough competition in graded company. This year alone, he's been in the Shakertown and the Twin Spires Turf Sprint. While his Shakertown performance was decent, I would argue that the race placement has been a bit over his head and he's been in need of a class relief. The fast pace really sets up for him here and gives him something to track and run at. The next race is race 6. It's the Brook Fields Mile Stakes going a mile on the turf. It's a field of 10 with 1 entered for main track only, which could very well come into play considering the rainy forecast. I am spreading a bit again in this race. I'm gonna hope for some value. I like the number 2, Kennebuck. This is my top choice at 5-1. It's a deep closer who's won 5 out of his last 6 starts and 7 out of the last 10. But of his last 3, he won at a mile and 3/8, and a mile and 7/8. So he's super versatile distance-wise. This race was won with an 85 buyer last year, which is right where his performance figures are landing right now. This is a really niche, successful spot for this trainer as well, who wins 28% of the time after winning last out, 24% of the time on routes, and 21% of the time in stakes company. I really wouldn't be surprised if he goes off lower than 5-1, but he's definitely a play in here, and I'm going to hope for those odds. Also be using the number 3, Drama Chorus, 6-1 morning line, and getting the opportunity for a redo as he set the pace in this race last year and got caught at the wire in a blanket finish. I think he'll get the same position with the lead this year, and the question is if he'll be able to hang on for the win. He will need to improve just a bit off his last 2 performances, but if he can run back to his efforts last year in the Turf Classic at Tampa, then it shouldn't be a problem. Time Form does have him winning this race. I will be using the number 8, Golden Bandit, the morning line favorite. I went back and forth on whether or not I was going to fade this one, but I decided to include him. He had a very impressive win last out over the course, running his lifetime best, which was just a week ago. So that is where I was wondering if he was going to be a bounce candidate or not. But what changed my mind was he had similar back-to-back wins last year at Canterbury when he came back and won the Canterbury Derby 2 weeks after winning his maiden special weight. He's also never lost at Canterbury and only ever won at Canterbury. So this is 100% his favorite place to be. And finally, number 10, Tonka Warrior. This horse is 8-1 morning line. And like Kennebuck is a closer in here, Time Form US has him with the best late pace in the race. He was in this race last year and ended up 4th in that blanket finish by just half a length. His next start was out at Oaklawn, and he clipped heels and fell in that race, and then had almost 7 months off, and then came back this month at Canterbury and ran a really strong first out, closing 13 lengths to just miss, and matching his buyer from last year's edition of the stakes. I would expect him to improve after that. I would expect him to prove this second out off the layoff. And also take note that Tonka Warrior has won over a wet, muddy track before. Finally, race 7 is the Canterbury Derby, going a mile on the turf. It's a 7-horse field. Something we don't see all that often in Timeform US is when a race is designated as having no speed. Pretty much everyone in here is classified as a mid-pack runner. I'm going to use the number 1. It's a fairly obvious choice to include in this ticket, coming from Wesley Ward's barn. This will be his debut in the US after running in Group 1 and Group 2 company abroad. His maiden win, and only win for that matter, came going over a mile over soft turf. And after that, he faced tougher competition than anyone else in here has even dreamed of facing. While he didn't win those races, he gave really decent, strong showing and has continued to improve. His most recent start was in the UAE Derby, so that kind of puts it in perspective how much they have thought of this colt. He does have by far the best turf pedigree rating in this field. The number 3, Hold Your Applause, 6-1 morning line. I really like this horse. He switched from dirt sprints to turf routes 2 back and has won both since. His last out was his first with this trainer, Kenny Ryan, and he improved 17 speed points to show us his lifetime best of a 76. That was also over yielding turf at Canterbury, so he should like the give in the ground from the rain. Ryan comes back to win his next out 20% of the time. Hold Your Applause is by Oscar Performance, who is by Kitten's Joy, which personally is one of my absolute favorite turf route pedigrees to play. Finally, number 5, Flat Hanby, I'll be using. He's sat right off the pace in his last 2 races and has one of the best early speed ratings in here. So I could see him taking advantage of the pace scenario with no speed and leading the field. He's coming off 2 wins and 2 bullet works. There's quite a few unknowns though here with him, which is why we're getting this price. This is his first time at Canterbury. This is his first time going longer than 6 furlongs. But I really like seeing those 2 bullet works. That gives me kind of a fitness indicator that he might be ready for the distance. And most importantly, this will be his first time over the turf if it stays on the turf. I want to show you Timeform's pedigree rating page for him. I love using this tool. It gives you a very easy, quick visual breakdown of every horse's aptitude based on distance and surface. But his I found really interesting. He gets an 83 for everything, every distance and surface combination, whether it's synthetic, turt or derf, short or long. And you really don't usually see that. You typically see a horse who's specialized in an area. So if that's correct, he should be really versatile enough for this spot. So that is my pick 3. It's a $48 pick ticket. I think we have a lot of prices in there. Hopefully get us a nice payout. So best of luck to everybody this weekend. Best of luck at Canterbury with the Canterbury Derby.